Nate Davis, NFL columnist for USA Today. Good morning, Nate. How are you?
Morning, guys. I'm glad Grant and Danny let me join you all. Appreciate it.
And anytime. You're always welcome. You have an open invite. So we wanted to first discuss the article you put out yesterday, which NFL teams will crash playoff party, ranking the 18 candidates by likelihood. And I didn't realize this number was this high, that every year since 1990, when the playoff field expanded from 10 to 12 teams, at least 4 teams that didn't reach the Super Bowl, the postseason in the prior season, have qualified annually. So there's always churn. There's always turnover. There's obviously 18 candidates this year. Do you care to let the people know where the Commanders fall on that list of 18?
Where do the Commanders fall? The Commanders fall actually lower than I thought. I thought I had them like 7th. No, they're 10th. They're
you got
10th
them
out of
10,
18.
yeah.
10 out of 18. But, I mean, it's a, I think Arizona's 9th. I mean, I kind of consider them pretty much, even in that department. I did I started the week out with my record projections for the year, and I've got the Commanders winning 7 games. But, I mean, I do like where they're headed. I mean, there is a bit of a historical thing where it's pretty rare for a first-year head coach and a rookie quarterback to get a team into the playoffs. But, I say all that, but I've also think that there should be a sense of optimism about the Commanders. I mean, I think they're headed in a positive direction. I think they've charted a course with Adam Peters and Dan Quinn in this new regime. And I think for the last, 5 years, decade, whatever it is, it felt like 7-10 was kind of standard business, but it was kind of spinning your wheels 7-10. I don't think that's the case this year.
What do you think of the first month of their season? We were going to get into the schedule maybe later in the show, but for a rookie quarterback to go on the road 3 out of the 4 weeks, not that all these teams are really, world beaters. I mean, they got to play Arizona in week 4, but they start out at Tampa, then they play the Giants at home. I think the Giants are going to be terrible. Then they got to go to Cincy and go to Arizona. So 3 of the first 4 games for a rookie quarterback and a whole new staff and a whole new roster is on the road. But again, maybe I'm putting too much of the road versus home into the schedule. But I think that's going to be difficult for a rookie quarterback.
No, I think you're right. And after the Arizona trip, they get Cleveland and Baltimore at home. I mean, Cleveland had the number 1 defense in the league last year. Myles Garrett's not really what you want to see as a rookie quarterback. That's kind of how I have it plotted. I kind of have them starting, pretty poorly and finishing pretty strongly, and I think that probably could track. I think a lot of rookie quarterbacks start to pick it up over the course of a season, and I think the way the Commander's schedule sets up, I think they're kind of, a good candidate to struggle early and finish strong. Maybe they get that RG3 bump, and nobody's seen Jaden Daniels, and he comes out of the blocks really fast, but. I tend to think not. You mentioned Arizona, too. I mean, they were a sneaky, tough team. I mean, I believe they gave the Commanders all they could handle last year in the opener, I want to say it was.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. They were a team that kind of fought tooth and claw everybody last year with not a great roster. Then they finished much better when Kyler Murray came back midseason. Going to their building, making that long trip, I think that's I've got that as a loss for the Commanders right now. But yeah, I think you're probably looking very very good chance you got a 1-4, 1-5 kind of start, and then maybe they start to get their feet under them from that point on.
Nate, I'm looking at your 2024 NFL record projections. You got a jumbled mess kind of in the NFC East. You have the Eagles atop the division at 10-7, the Cowboys at 8-9, the Commanders, as you mentioned, 7-10, and you have the Giants with 4 wins. So it's looking like you think it's going to be pretty close matchup in the NFC East as to who wins the crown.
I think so. I think we've kind of seen usually that's the case. I'm sure you guys have aware of that stat that it's been 20 years since a team has repeated in that division. It didn't set out to do it that way, but I think it makes sense that the Eagles bumped down the Cowboys, and I'm definitely pretty significant pessimist on the Cowboys in general this season, but. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Commanders overtake them, with a couple breaks, good breaks here and there for the Commanders, bad breaks here and there for the Cowboys. But, yeah, I think it's going to be pretty close. And I like the Eagles. I'm not hugely bullish on them. This is 3 years in a row they've had a different pair of coordinators. They're turning over the entire offense. The Saquon Barkley element, definitely interesting. That they have lost Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey from a leadership standpoint. Although I do tell people that, and I say that the leadership didn't help them much at the end of last season. But there's going to be some pressure on that team. I think Nick Sirianni starts the season on a bit of a hot seat, but I kind of think that they're the I don't want to say least bad, but maybe least flawed team in the division to me.
Getting back to your ranking of the teams that can make the playoffs that didn't last year, I do kind of agree with your top two with the Jets and Bengals simply because their quarterbacks were hurt last year. The interesting one for me is the Colts. You've got them 3, and Anthony Richardson. What did he play? 5 games last year, something like that. Cakes.
Everyone's high on them.
But everyone, and then Jonathan Taylor, he had kind of a down year because he was banged up a little bit. But so you really are buying into Anthony Richardson, kind of leading this team possibly to the playoffs.
Yeah, he was really good in his snapshots. I mean, you look at the numbers; they're not fantastic, but he kind of. I remember talking to him at the combine before he got drafted, and kind of describes himself as a combination of Lamar Jackson and Cam Newton. And, you kind of write the story up and kind of be like, okay, well, sure. We'll see. But I mean, you saw flashes of that last year, but like you said, I mean, I think he and Jonathan Taylor were on the field for like 3 or 4 snaps together last year. And that team goes 9-8. And if they win their last game, they win the AFC South. And, everyone's talking about the Texans there, but I mean, we're kind of a year out from everyone talking about the Jaguars. And I think people forget that, Houston won 10 games. The Jags and the Colts, who both had significant injury issues, both won 9 games. I think Shane Steichen, the Colts head coach and play caller, is a couple of years from now, we're probably going to regard him as maybe the best one at the game in that. I think giving him all of his guys, I really think this team could take off this year, certainly given how well they played last year with a bunch of backup players.
Joined by Nate Davis, NFL columnist for USA Today. So at the bottom of your list of teams that are likely to make a playoff run after missing the previous year, the New England Patriots you have at number 18. They've got a lot of turnover there. Mayo takes over as the coach. They draft Drake May. It could be a few years rebuilding process. Nobody expects much from them in 2024.
Yeah, you kind of said it. And it's actually, it's interesting to me that they don't actually have a ton of turnover. They actually re-signed a bunch of their guys. The obvious turnover is head coach and quarterback. So it's interesting that Elliott Wolf seems to think he's got kind of a core group of guys there, given who they brought back. That being said, I mean, this is a group of guys that won 4 games with Bill Belichick, right, in his last season, and then you're bringing in questions at quarterback. And there's also a component of this, too, that I think I've got some of these AFC teams at the bottom, ranked at the bottom, because I think it's going to be a tougher task for a team like the Patriots to make the playoffs in the AFC. Whereas I think, the Carolina Panthers, for instance, who may not be as good as the Patriots, if you were to, go head-to-head, I think they probably have more of a snowball chance playing, in the NFC South, for instance.
Well, I mean, think about those 6 just tough outs in the division with the Jets and Miami and Buffalo. Yep. I mean, those are 6 tough games, especially, with a rookie coach, possibly a rookie quarterback. We'll see how long Brissett's their starter, but just in the division, man, that's just really difficult.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. I mean, that's why I think Giants, Panthers, whatever. I'm not sure that they would beat the Patriots, but I think that they've just got a better chance based on where their schedules fall and that kind of thing. I am kind of curious just to see Patriots wise. I mean, we all know how we feel about Bill Belichick. Maybe he did lose something on his fastball these last couple of years, but it will be interesting to see kind of what Gerard Mayo is able to do for that team, just from the former player perspective. I mean, it sounds like the culture has already taken a significant change there, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be inclined to play Drake May right away. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, as you guys know, I mean, probably should have started a couple games here last year. I mean, he's probably the ideal backup quarterback, but I think his career record is like 18-30 or something, and he's been on some pretty good teams. So I think he's a great guy to kind of hold down the fort, but that doesn't mean that I think Patriots fans should expect that they're going to be 5-5 midway through or something.
So last question for you, Nate, here before we let you go. Just of the young quarterbacks, just kind of want to talk about Jaden for a second. Of the first round picks, who do you think is going to be the breakout guy? Is it just going to be simply Caleb, or do you think Jaden's going to give him a run for his money, or anybody else?
I think Jaden could. I mean, I think Caleb is set up in the better situation. Got more weapons around him. I mean, that team was really good in the second half of last year. without him. And I mean, he was the number one pick for a reason. I mean, people make the Patrick Mahomes comparisons to him, which are unfair. Caleb characterizes himself as a young Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we'll see how all that plays out, but I think the challenge for him is kind of going to be similar to RG3. Is that you got to give up on plays in the NFL, and you can't just play Madden back there and hope to make something happen out of thin air at the cost of getting yourself hurt. That goes for Jaden too. I mean, we know that the knock on him is leaving the pocket, and that he's maybe not really his body's not ready to take some of these NFL hits either. But I'm looking forward to watching him play. I mean, I think he's pretty advanced for a passer as a rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels. And, if the Commanders can protect him decently, he's got some good weapons. I mean, he's got some really good guys to lean on in the locker room with guys who I know a little bit like Bobby Wagner and Austin Eckler, who are good human beings and guys who I think will show him, the right way to navigate this career. It's been a lot of pessimism around this team for a while, like I said at the beginning of this. And I think if you're a Commanders fan, this is a good time to be pretty excited about where this could all be going.
Nate, thanks a lot for the time, man. It's good talking to you. I'll have you on again soon.
Pleasure, fellas.